it's all about presentation. So Instagram, social media, all feeds into this idea of like, it's what other people think is going on in my life. It's not necessarily what's happening. So everybody typically presents like this beautiful picture of their lives. This is where I'm vacationing. This is the clothes that I'm wearing, all sorts of stuff. These are the friends that I'm hanging out with. So you need to like me. When we know that in reality, life isn't really like that. Social media is still such a new phenomenon. We really don't know the effects of it yet. I think people before had a grasp on it because you really had to concentrate on what the other person was saying and how they were saying it. And now people are overreading a text. They can look at it and say, why did this person just say K instead of OK and spelling it out and so forth. Face-to-face communication is very important because we know that a lot of times kids are college students are very tech savvy. They can text very well, but they don't know how to really hold a conversation anymore. There has to be a balance. I mean, texting is wonderful because you can just tell that person, hey, I'm thinking of you, loves and kisses, hugs and kisses or whatever. But I really think that you have to devote some time to that face-to-face. Even if it is Skype, if it's a long-distance relationship, you have to have some sort of eye contact with that person just to kind of get a sense of what's going on and how's their life and so forth, because it's really easy to text and not be very superficial about it. But I think you have to really kind of read between the lines and see what that person's feeling. Anyone can just say stuff. Anyone can just type a message that can be very negative or derogatory or mean or hateful or whatever. And so they don't realize the repercussions of what it has on the person who actually posted it. Oftentimes when people meet online, they self-disclose a lot more than they should or differently than they normally would, because things that people say on Tinder, I don't think they would necessarily say them face-to-face because they might get, slapped or whatever. People, there's socially acceptable ways to approach somebody. And I think when you meet online, it just has a different dimension to it. So the way that people connect online, not to say that it's bad or good, it's just a different way. And I think it does set a different tone depending on the platform. So if they did meet on Tinder, right, there's this whole perception behind it that you're just meeting up to hook up. But that may not necessarily be the case at all times. I mean, there's some people that genuinely want to have a relationship, and this is just one avenue. I think that there's pros and cons to each. Obviously, like, if you meet through social media, then oftentimes what people do is they typically stalk the partner. Like, what pictures are you posting, and who are you with, and when were you with this person, and all sorts of stuff. So it creates a lot of jealousy for some partners to see their potential mate like that, or in ways that they just don't understand, and so it can cause conflict. But yet, for some people, it creates a bond. Like, oh, you were at this institution, or you went on this vacation, I've been there too. And so sometimes it can create some connections, putting your relationship out there and putting your relationship status out there. For some couples, it can be very beneficial because it can show the world like, hey, we're together, this person is mine. And so it really sets the tone for the relationship because other people are aware of it and they can respect that in some degree. On the negative, it can create a lot of issues in terms of when you're dating someone because you don't know about that person's past and you don't know what's going on and so forth. So the internet is so widespread, so you can create all of these different profiles. So even if the person wants to create another profile, they could still have another profile and give their password to their significant other. So really it comes down to trust. It really is about that partner and being able to trust that person. And we've already seen lots and lots of studies that have pretty much shown that couples do that. They'll be in a relationship, but then they'll have an emotional affair or whatever off to the side, and they'll maintain that through social media because it's very easy to do. We're already seeing, based on research, that there's, it's great for the older generation because they can reconnect with, friends from high school and so forth. However, we're also seeing some different, emotional affairs, right? Because even though we're not physically close, but I used to have feelings for you in high school and things like that. And so we're seeing a lot more of those types of issues happening. What used to be like a little black book of dates of potential mates, the same idea has never changed. People have always had back burners, and these are people that they can be coworkers, people that you go to church with, people that you're friends with. Think of your relationship as a stove. So you have a front burner and you have a back burner. So your front burner is typically where you keep your main relationship. You keep a hot, simmering, whatever. But then the back burner is where you typically keep the relationship off to the side should your front burner relationship fail for whatever reason. And so we typically have them. I mean, it's kind of like our backup plan. There's different types of back burners because we know that there's different types of hookups, basically. There's people who hook up just because of the sheer wanting to have sex or whatever, or they like the friendship or whatever it may be. But with back burners, it's the same way too. So there's people who have back burners because they really want to fall in love with this person. The timing's not right, or maybe they really love this person, but they don't know how they would feel if they were to open up and say, I really love you. They don't want to jeopardize that relationship. So it's quite interesting why people maintain back burners, because the way that they maintain them is very, very different. So males are more likely to use assurances like, oh yeah, we'll be together one day. Oh yeah, So they kind of give false hope to females, and females are more likely to believe those kind of things like, oh, okay, one day, he said one day we'll be together. And so for females were more likely to use positivity, so they were more likely to be positive about the relationship, so they wouldn't give assurances, unlike males. So they wouldn't say, oh, we'll be together. They would be like, oh, I'm happy, you make me feel so great. And so they would use for statements like this to keep male back burners, attached. And people tend to think that I study hookups or friends with benefits. Those are completely different, because a back burner doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a sexual encounter. It just means that I'm romantically attracted to you, and it may happen, it may not happen. So I think that future generations are still going to continue to use social media. I think we still like social media. I think a lot of people want to feel affirmed in how they look or how they think or what they do and so forth. So that, I don't think that's ever going to change. I think that our relationships are going to change because we want more of those. So we want to have as many friends, we want to have as many likes. But then real relationships, I think that's where the core issue is, because we might not know how to really maintain those relationships. I think it'll change in terms of how we've already seen that communication patterns have changed, that people, like what used to be like, we're going to argue face to face, is now we're going to text and argue at the same time instead, because it's more comfortable for some couples. With social media, I think it's going to change, because I think a lot more couples are going to be very particular about what they post and what they don't post, and what they choose to tell, what they don't choose to tell. And we're already seeing strategic placement in what people are doing already, but I think it's going to be even more so because they realize the permanence of it out there.